I unknowingly worked for a con man for 2 years and learned a number of things about sales, manipulation, people, frauds, and business that are probably going to blow your mind. As an entrepreneur, you are probably riddled with ad after ad, shiny object after shiny object, guru and mentor after guru and mentor promising you the world, but maybe not delivering fully or at all sometimes on that promise. We've all heard the stories like in Wolf of Wall Street and Catch Me If You Can about swindlers, con men, frauds, and manipulative con men that lie, cheat, and steal their way to fame and fortune. And I've had the unique opportunity, if you want to call it that, to actually work for 2 con men actually back to back. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can use some lessons that I've learned to help spot liars, frauds, imposters, and overall swindlers, so you can improve your influence skills, sales skills, and overall business IQ. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Whiting. I've built 2 7-figure businesses, sold one in 2019. I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of entrepreneurs from around the world to help them get rid of fear, procrastination, self-doubt, and get out of their own way, get unstuck, and become bulletproof entrepreneurs. So let's dive right in. The first thing that I want to make sure that you understand is the only difference between a really good salesperson or a really good entrepreneur and a con man is a good back-end product. There's a lot of very awesome traits that con men actually use to be able to influence people to get them to do what they want them to do. And that only becomes unethical when the promises that are made are actually not delivered on. See, if you have a good salesperson or a good entrepreneur and they're very good at convincing people to go in the direction or buy the product or service that they're selling, and that product or service that they're selling is actually a kick-ass, awesome product or service, then it's not conning. There's an even exchange. In fact, an uneven exchange of overabundance of exchange on behalf of the salesperson or entrepreneur, and everybody walks away feeling like they have a win-win scenario. All of the same principles that are used to influence somebody to buy a product or service are the exact same influence principles that con men use to deviously dupe people into probably something that is not in their best interest. And as a full disclaimer of this video, when I say con men, yes, of course, that's to get you to watch this video. Ultimately, it's up to you to determine what's ethical, unethical, whether it's an even exchange, not an even exchange. I don't feel like I got swindled only because I have taken the lessons that I'm about to share with you in this video and used them to make multiple millions of dollars since those opportunities have since passed. So ultimately, it's up to your responsibility to make sure that you glean the value from whatever product or service that you're purchasing, or whatever person or entrepreneur or whatever relationship that you are involved in. So when I say con men, I don't know if they were actually officially con men. I know that there are some principles that I want to make sure that I don't do in my business life that I have learned, and that's really the purpose of this video. So I want to start out with going over some really good traits or beneficial traits that con men and good salespeople and good entrepreneurs alike all possess. So ultimately, their presence is fantastic. They dress properly. They dress to accommodate what their audience wants to see in order to know, like, and trust them. They smile. They're very articulate, usually have a great sense of humor, and are good at lulling people into feeling very, very comfortable with them. And again, very good traits to have. It's straight out of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Very, very good traits to have. They're usually great listeners because they're looking for information that they can use to their advantage. Just like as a good entrepreneur or salesperson, you need to also be a good listener. In a relationship, you also need to be a good listener to understand what the other person wants and needs so that you can help them get it. It's a very, very fine line between the con man and the good salesperson and entrepreneur, whereas the con man is going to use that information to his advantage where it's a win-lose situation, or at least they make sure that they win much more than you win. But ultimately, all of those same principles apply. They're very, very good at understanding your pains and problems. And these are the leverage points that they're going to use in times of challenge, which we'll get to next, to really make sure that they have you under their thumb, so to speak, that they're in control. And they will make a very good terminal to communicate to. And it's easy for them to get you to open up to them and talk about a lot of things that are probably sometimes personal in nature. And they're really getting to know you as your good friend, or you might have heard it as building rapport. They're very good at understanding who they are dealing with. And it's these same principles in one of my favorite books by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference that FBI hostage negotiators use to get to manipulate the hostage taker or the bad guy into giving up the hostages and diffusing the situation. It's all of the same influence techniques. Again, they're used sometimes for good or win-win or bad win-lose. In the case of the hostage negotiator, it's probably pretty good to let all the hostages go and diffuse the situation. In the case of an entrepreneur that actually has a good, solid back-end product and mission that's actually helping people, it's probably good to use those influence skills to get people to buy their product or service. Again, it's a fine line of a difference between a con man and a good salesperson. The con man just doesn't deliver on any of those promises. So let's look at some of the fine details now that we understand on the surface. A good con man, a good salesperson, a good entrepreneur, and even an FBI hostage negotiator all have the same commonality in traits that they use to influence people. But the con man has a few that stand out that I want to make sure to highlight in this video. So let's look at how to spot a con man and some little fine points to make sure you can differentiate the difference between the two. First, in talking with them, they make you feel confused or disoriented. A lot of times they talk in directions or circles that make you feel as though you're kind of spinning in confusion and have no idea what the heck just happened. They were just on a very logical, seemingly smart, straight line explanation of something. Then they took a hard right turn and you're wondering, what the heck, where's this conversation going? But they've built so much rapport with you that you don't want to be disrespectful and start calling them out and being like, wait a minute, dude, where are you going with this? You're all of a sudden not making any sense because you know them, you like them. You've probably had a conversation with them to build up that rapport, and it's almost like a hypnotic mesmerizing that you get lulled into that distracts you from the fact that they're no longer making that much sense. And next, if you even challenge them or begin to question them on their logic, they will begin to put you down, but very sarcastically and passive-aggressively under the guise of being very humorous. They will undercut you and make sure that you feel just a little bit smaller around them, just to make sure that they maintain that upper hand. And then they'll riddle off all of their accomplishments, achievements, all of the things that they have, the money that they have, where it is. If they start boasting about all the things that they've done and then using that and I'll say throwing it in your face, very, very successful people that are actually successful don't sit there and boast about their accomplishments. They don't tell you how awesome they are. You probably already have heard how awesome they are if they're the real deal. If they're personally telling you that they have jets, millions of dollars, islands, super awesome cars, vacation homes, and anything that they know is going to be a buzz point for you, that is a red flag. And another point is if you even ask them about this to furnish proof of this, show you that they have proof of these things that they know that you want to hear, they will often get upset, laugh it off, and then basically call you out for calling them out and make you look silly. And they do it in such a very nice, kind, humorous way that you just feel silly calling them out ever again. And now it's easy to get lulled into going along with literally almost anything that they say. And then they will make very big promises to you about how you can have that same opportunity. And then that's how they essentially sell you on going along with whatever they're going along with. And for me, it was only very late in the game, actually, after working for a number of months with these people, that I realized that there was no actual game plan on the back end. There was no actual fulfillment of any promises. And after watching this behavior, you start to see a lot of commonalities of what actually produces real results and what does not. Where's the money going and where is it not going? And if you're not seeing any actual practical, tangible benefit that lines up with what their original promises were, most likely, if it makes you feel a little weird and confused, it's probably not a good thing. Real solutions have real tangible roadmaps that are laid out in very logical, linear fashion. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and there's a very clear path to success. And it's very easy, especially for the inexperienced entrepreneur, to get distracted by all the big buzzwords and understanding all of the pain points that they understand about you, that they're going to push on and be like, well, if you want to get over that problem, I have all this cool stuff that you want. I have all this solution over here. Why don't you trust me and basically do it? And so ultimately, it's very, very, very difficult to spot, even to this day. A really good manipulator, a really good influencer is very, very good at getting you to agree with pretty much whatever they say. And ultimately, as soon as you begin to investigate or lift the hood up or do some background checks or do some background research on the person, you'll probably inevitably find a number of skeletons in the closet. So I highly recommend that anybody that you're about to go work with, work for, partner with, you need to do background checks on these people. I realize that sounds a bit extreme, especially if you really like the person and you don't want to offend them by doing a background check on them. You're going to want to do one anyway and check them out and see if what their claims are actually true. And if they are, that's awesome, but I continue to verify, continue to verify, continue to verify. I cannot stress that enough. And another point that con men do is they continue to basically change their mind and come up with this new big idea, this new big plan, and completely take a left hand or a right hand turn out of nowhere. They're trying to keep you guessing. It's a control mechanism. It's when you pull the rug out from under somebody, so to speak, and you change your mind on where the direction is going, it causes them to be confused. It'll cause you to be confused. And when you're confused, you're looking for certainty. And when you're looking for certainty, you're going to go to the big shiny guy in the nice suit that has the nice smile and that you like, that's promised you the world, and assume that he knows what he's talking about, because he'll tell you that he absolutely knows what he's doing because he's done it 1,000 times before and you're ridiculous for even calling him out on it. And they will talk in circles in a way that makes you feel ridiculous for even considering calling them out in the first place. And then you'll stop investigating because there's a part of you that doesn't want to know what you'll find and knows that it's probably not a good situation to begin with. So bottom line is, if it feels weird, it probably is. But if they have tons of results that are very public and a lot of people backing them up, and they've come referred from a good source, and you feel really good about the opportunity and you can see a very clear path to success, it's probably a good thing. If you're confused or uncertain in any way, shape, or form and feel just kind of slimy and gooey about the person, you're probably right. Not all the time, but you're probably right as a good general rule of thumb. Real good leaders, entrepreneurs, salespeople are not going to undercut you. They're not going to make fun of you. They're not going to cut you down. They're not going to confuse you. They're going to set you up for real success. They're not going to change their mind 18 times halfway through a venture and have you go off on wild goose chases. So that is a clear sign. Maybe not that they're intentionally being malicious about it. Sometimes people can be being con men or swindlers without even knowing that they're conning or swindling, because they've essentially drank their own Kool-Aid. They believe what they're saying to be true, and they've lulled themselves into believing everything that comes out of their mouth. So it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's intentionally being malicious. I truly believe that neither of the gentlemen that I had the opportunity to work with were intentionally being malicious. However, by definition, there was no real, actual, tangible back-end product result. They were basically just winging it, playing it by ear, and using all of the influence techniques that we talked about earlier in this video to get people to do what they wanted them to do. So let's wrap up with a few of the top business lessons that I've learned after working with 2 con men, and how you can apply it in your own business as well. First and foremost is a marketing lesson. I don't care whether it's the largest marketing agencies on the planet or you marketing yourself as an individual. So a rule of marketing is they're always putting their best foot forward. I don't care whether you're the top companies on the planet or it's you marketing your own business or me marketing my own business. We're all doing our best to put our best foot forward, and kind of like a magician, only showing you what we want you to see. Just like you're only showing probably your best testimonials and case studies, and not the upset client emails that get sent to you when one or two clients is inevitably upset about something. This is business. There's going to be upset clients. There's going to be challenges. But in marketing, we only put the best that we have out on as a general rule of thumb. Conmen are much the same. They're only telling you what you want to hear, and just the same as marketing, promoting. It's all telling you what you want to hear. So whether you like it or not, that's pretty much how the game works. So you in your own marketing, tell people what you know is going to get them coming to you. As I've used to teach in my marketing training, dogs like peanut butter. They don't like broccoli. Regardless of how intensely you shove the broccoli in their face, they're always going to be more attracted to peanut butter. Just like human beings are going to be more attracted to the things that they want versus the things that they don't want. Next, as Warren Buffett says, don't invest in something if you don't understand it. And that means both investing time and investing money. If you don't understand something, if there's not a clear path to success with whatever opportunity, product, or service is being presented to you and you don't understand it, do not invest your time in it or money in it until you absolutely feel that you can see a probable return. That doesn't mean you're going to be guaranteed. I don't want you to sit on the fence forever and need 100% certainty. But if it doesn't make logical, at least plausible sense to you, keep investigating it until it does. And if you just still can't make sense of it, don't invest your time or money into it. And don't get blinded by the infatuation with the big successful person, even though it might look awesome, sound awesome, be awfully convincing. I can tell you after meeting a lot, thousands of people on this planet so far this lifetime, that a lot of times, probably more times than not, the big successful guy that you think is super awesome and successful doesn't actually have squat. He's probably not as successful as you think he is. As a general rule of thumb, I can tell you that seeing, especially in my line of work, basically understanding entrepreneurs' dirty laundry and cleaning it all up so we can and then get out of our own way, help entrepreneurs get out of their own way and remove mental garbage so that they can let their best out. I've dealt with a lot of entrepreneurs' mental garbage, and a lot of it comes from putting out an image that isn't actually true and exaggerating on results that they don't actually have. So it's very common. So I'm just letting you know that a lot of people, not everybody, I definitely know a lot of people that are very real successful people, and I actually am good friends with them. But there are a lot of people out there that are imposters, that are in their own way con men. So I want to make sure that you understand that although you might feel as though they're here and you're here, I can promise you, you're probably a lot closer to them than you think. And finally, make sure that you have a good back-end product. Make sure that you're actually delivering real value to your clients, to your prospects, in your marketing, in your sales, in your company, whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that your business does. Make sure it's really good, really epic. Focus on making your clients happy. As Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world, is focused on the client experience and making that amazing, and he's worth $200 billion by just focusing on the client. He's not focusing on what's in it for me. He's focusing on the customer. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to focus on your customer journey and what your customer experience is after interacting with your company and having an amazing back-end product or service. And then you can out front make big promises and then over-deliver on those big promises. That's what people really like. That's what people are really gravitated towards. The only reason that entrepreneurs really don't do that is because they don't want to put the time in to actually make things good. They don't actually want to put the time in to make the customer experience epic, to make the customer experience amazing. So don't be like most entrepreneurs. Put the time in. Care about your customer. Care about what they're really going through, what their real problems and challenges are, and solve those problems and challenges with your product or service. Genuinely solve them. Actually solve them, and you will get everything that you want in your business and in your life. I promise you. So as I mentioned, good con men are really good. Good salespeople are really good. I consider myself a very good salesperson, mainly because I have a good back-end product, and I also exhibit some of the traits that also are used by FBI hostage negotiators and con men. It's all about building rapport, influencing somebody in a certain direction. And again, the only difference is having something really great for that person so that they say, thank you for influencing me in that direction, not screw you for influencing me in that direction. And remember, all of these influence techniques can be used for good or helping people, or bad and destroying people. It's all a very slippery slope, so I'll just advise you, just trust your gut and do what you feel is right. And sometimes you'll be right and sometimes you'll be wrong, but as long as you have the senior intention for the other person or other people to win, you will ultimately win. So in the comments below this video, let me know some ways that you've spotted some liars, some swindlers, some fraudulent people, and some of your rules of thumb to make sure that you don't get taken advantage of and that you are pursuing opportunities, products, and services that are the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And I put at least one video out just like this one every single week. So make sure that you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.